My name is Ermin, and I am 27 years old. I want to share the story of my father, my grandmother, and an incident I experienced. My father went through a challenging period in his adulthood. He lost his mother at the age of 18 and was left alone with his sister while he was serving his military duty. The lands and fields rightfully belonging to my grandfather were sold at a very low price by his uncles in those times. Details like land deeds were not considered important, and it might even sound amusing. However, the reality was harsh. The 1940s were times of hardship. When Tafan's grandfather returned to the village after completing his military service, he had to share all responsibilities with his sister. In desperation, he became a shepherd in the east. Shepherds grazed their sheep in the mountains, and Tafan's grandfather encountered Jinn several times. One day, he started herding a 1-year-old Baron ewe named Guder. However, there was a system where Baron ewes stayed in the mountains for 15 days and then were brought back to the village. One night, when the sheep became restless, Tafan's grandfather and his friend Ahmet uncle went to the mountains. While Ahmet uncle kept Tafan's grandfather busy, suddenly drum and zurna, a type of flute, sounds were heard. Ahmet uncle told my grandfather about a wedding, inviting him to join. Unaware of Ahmet uncle's intentions, Tafan's grandfather ignored the distraction and went to the wedding. As he approached, the drum and zurna sounds became stronger, and he saw a lively wedding celebration below. Without knowing that Ahmet uncle was keeping him occupied, he walked towards the wedding. When he arrived, he saw that Jinn were having the wedding. Ahmet uncle, alone on the hill, was captivated by the rhythm of the drum and zurna. Tafan's grandfather called out to Ahmet uncle, but Ahmet uncle was dancing with the Jinn, gathering his courage. Tafan's grandfather approached within 100 meters of the Jinn wedding and shouted for Ahmet. Shortly after, Ahmet uncle came, and the two friends gathered the unattended flock. Ahmet uncle shared his experience with Tafan's grandfather. He described the Jinn wedding with a beautiful bride adorned with jewelry. Due to his participation in the Jinn wedding, Ahmet uncle faced suspicion from the villagers and went through a psychologically challenging period. My grandmother's story fits the description of fearless. She had a passion for treasure hunting. One day, while digging, she found an empty clay jar filled with soil. She started using it to store her food. However, her passion for treasure hunting attracted the attention of Jinn, my older brother and uncle's young daughter. Was my grandmother's favorite. She would sleep with one on each side. One night, a long, jet-black hand reached through the window and grabbed my grandmother's throat. My brother and uncle's daughter witnessed this bodiless hand. Despite the difficulty, my grandmother recited the basmala beginning with "In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful," and started praying. The black hand disappeared after a while. One day, an old woman in the village passed away. My grandmother washed and shrouded the deceased. At evening, she started trembling as if having a seizure. My younger sister I brought water, but it was in vain. Finally, a man knocked on the door. A man dressed in a robe with a stick entered and attacked my grandmother. With each strike, he shouted, Didn't I tell you not to wash corpses?" I, in shock, watched this brutality. The man advised my grandmother and asked her to bring money from a certain place. When I returned with the money, the man had disappeared. As for my own story, when I was 5 to 6 years old, I had terrifying nightmares. In one dream, hideous creatures distorted a beloved song of mine, making me angry and scared. I would wake up screaming at night, claiming that a monster had come to me. However, my family didn't take it seriously, dismissing it as just a child's imagination. One night, I decided to sleep not in the same room with my family, but with my sister. However, we both experienced a similar entity in her dream. My sister fought against this presence, reciting prayers and resolving the situation. Among these events, another interesting incident occurred. My sister claimed to be harassed by a presence one night. My grandmother confronted this entity, recited prayers, and put an end to the situation. As for the night I slept with my sister, she suddenly screamed in the sweetest moment of sleep. The strange thing was that her voice sounded like a monkey. My family didn't wake up, and my sister felt the presence of an entity, having experienced similar incidents before. I left the room and went to my parents, explaining the situation, yet my family still did not take this event seriously.